All right, so let's go ahead and start today on our backs. And you could have your feet a little bit wide, your knees knocked in toward one another. And it might feel nice to let your hands rest on your belly, or maybe one on your belly, one on your chest. And as we settle into this form, it's a great place to scan through your body and notice if there's any specific sensations, and maybe to even give yourself a ranking for your energy level. So for this ranking, one would be like really low energy, um, kind of have that wall of inertia that you still need to break through. And 10 would be overstimulated. So maybe jittery, anxious, really quick thoughts. And somewhere in the middle, and it's probably a range of numbers, is that pretty comfortable level of energy where it feels like you have enough energy to do the things, but you're still able to stay grounded and embodied. You're not, floating above your body by 5 feet or stuck only in your head. And so maybe list a number, noticing how you know that, what information you're using to determine that. We'll come back to it later. Now we can shift awareness to the breath and begin to deepen the breath, noticing how on the inhale, it's a multi-directional expansion, and on the exhale, multi-directional contraction. You can keep finding these nice, round, deep breaths. And this is a breath we can come back to again and again throughout the practice. And on an inhale, we can reach arms up overhead, taking a full body stretch and maybe beginning to wiggle out the knees from side to side. Starting to introduce some movement. Your hands can tent up above your head and we'll bring the knees up above the hips. And take a moment here to notice the back of your pelvis, the back of your shoulders, the back of your head, those three convex curves that contact the mat. And already we can allow them to grow a little bit heavier into the mat to settle in a little more fully. And from here, we're going to shoot out the left leg. It can go at any angle, straight up. It could go down toward the mat, somewhere in between. And then bring that knee in and shoot out the right leg. And we'll just keep making the switch. This can be fast or slow. You might adjust the movement based on, little pops or sensations that are happening in your hips. You might feel like there's a better place to be with your legs. You might notice the tension that's building in your core. You might feel it on specifically like the front side of your belly. You might also notice where you can be soft. So, for example, you might roll your head side to side, either while doing this movement or just a couple of times to remember how soft the neck can be here. And we might continue this movement for 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and land your feet down, soften your arms, knees falling toward each other. Take a couple of breaths here. You might notice if in your body it would feel better to stay in some stillness. If you are interested in finding some more movement, you can again bring your knees up above your hips. Legs can be bent here. Arms can come out to a T. And from here, we're going to draw a little half circle with the knees in toward one armpit, away through center, in toward the other armpit. Try to do this while still letting your pelvis be heavy into the mat. Letting your shoulders and head be equally heavy. And if you'd like to add in the arms, we'll act as though we're holding a beach ball and lower the arms the opposite side that the knees are going toward. It can get a little funky once we start adding in stuff, especially this early in the morning. So you're welcome at any point to eliminate a variable or to stop and reset. And if you'd like to add in your head will look the same direction as your knees. You can just roll along the back side of it. Are those 3 points of contact still quite heavy? So that we're isolating the major muscle groups associated with those points and allowing this movement to happen a little bit more in the fascia, in the connective tissue. We want that connective tissue, which is layered, to be able to slide back and forth between layers. We want there to be some fluidity, some juiciness. You might even bring your gaze inward and see if you can tell if there are some sticky spots that are coming up in this movement, or if there are spots where it feels quite fluid. And you might continue this for 3, 2, 1. Go ahead, land your feet, let your knees fall in. We're just going to do a couple more of these tensegrity style movements before transitioning into our flow. And so for the next one, you can again bring your knees up. Take a moment to kick your legs up above your hips, maybe point and flex your toes, circle out your ankles. I like to even really reach up so I feel my low back press down and then kind of rock side to side on my low back. And then soften that pressing so that it's rocking side to side on my sacrum. This one, we can again tent the fingers up overhead. We're going to lower the right leg any amount and then switch it out with the left. So this is our kind of walking, or I like to picture cross-country skiing here. Check in with those curves. Are they still on the mat? Notice the noises and clicks and pops in your body. We have 2 options here. You might hear or feel those things and choose to roll with them. Or you might adjust the movement to try to soften or even silence them. There's no right or wrong choice here. It's just exploring the relationship you have with those noises and feelings and finding something that feels maybe more supportive. Now, if you'd like to add the arms in here, we can kind of bring the elbows to a bend, holding gentle fists. And we're going to move same side to start. So acting as though your elbows and knees are connected by strings. You're like a little puppet here. And there's a chance you're really noticing this in the front side of your hips. A lot of these movements can target the hip flexors in some ways. And so maybe you keep the movement a little bit smaller, or maybe you pause a little more with the lowered leg. We're going to stretch that out in a moment. All right, now pause with your arms. And we're going to go opposite. So find what that is. So now we're like using ski poles if we're cross-country skiing. And if we want to add in the head, you would look over your top arm. And this is one where I kind of like to get some momentum into my leg swings. It feels a little less strenuous to me to do that than to keep it a little bit slower. And so you might experiment with that, or you might keep it slower and maybe like that kind of steady burn that's building up. If you're interested in continuing this movement, you might do so for 3, 2, 1. Gently release. Let your knees fall in toward each other. Notice any change in body temperature and sensation. From here, we're going to roll to one side. I'm going to roll to my right side first so you can see me through this first set. We're going to bring our right arm out in front of us at a 90 degree. And you can let your right ear rest. It might feel nice to have like something under your head as support. Plant your left palm atop your right palm and reach your fingers past your right fingers. And then from here, start to trace a circle up and then behind you with your left fingers, and then down toward your bum, over the terrain of your body, and then back over. And keep your fingers in contact with the floor as much as possible, allowing your body to shift and move to accommodate that. It might be the back side of your fingers behind you, maybe the fingertips when it's in front of you. Maybe like me, you're noticing that your floor is a little dusty. Let's do a couple more of these. And you can always linger in any place where it feels appropriate to linger in your body. The next time that your hands are toward one another, take a moment to really settle into the right side of your body. I like to picture almost like a snow globe, all of the snow settling down, this time into the right side of your body. And we're going to keep that heaviness while finding these circles, which probably means your arm is going to be quite a bit lifted from the floor at certain parts. Maybe your fingers still touch at some points. Maybe they're a ways above the ground at some points. Keep that heaviness through your right side body. And begin to decrease the diameter of your circle. So if you're drawing a smaller and smaller circle, your hand is getting higher and higher from the floor. You can almost picture like drawing the circle up on the ceiling and it getting smaller and smaller until your arm bone is directly above your left shoulder socket. And from here, it might feel nice to use the weight of the arm bone to massage into some of the soft tissues If that feels pretty intense, you can bend at your elbow, fingertips on the tip of your shoulder, and use a bit shorter of a lever to do that. And we might continue this for 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and land your left fingertips on the mat. We're gonna step the left toes behind, reach out of the left knee toward the front edge of the mat. This is our hip flexor stretch for the left side. You might add in a slight tuck of your tail if that feels supportive. And then we're gonna flip to the other side. And you can just roll over. I'm going to stay facing the camera, so I'm gonna flip entirely around. So whatever feels more supportive to you. This time left ear is down, left arm is out at a 90-degree. Right hand comes atop that left. Reach past the fingertips and then begin to trace those circles on the floor and let your whole body contribute to it so that your fingers can stay close to or even touching the floor. Right now, I'm noticing how much my body is moving to facilitate that. It's a little bit more noticeable this time since we eliminated the body movement on the other side. Just a couple more. And then the next time that your right hand is back in line with your left hand, find that settling of energy down into your left side. Establish that and then begin to do the circles, but without bodily help. So just your right arm. Again, you're probably quite a ways above the mat during portions of this. And again, it might help to have the visual of holding a pencil, drawing circles on the ceiling, and think of those circles starting to gradually get a little bit smaller. And a little bit smaller. All the way until your right arm is extended basically straight above the socket. And again, you might use the weight of that arm bone to massage out the soft tissue surrounding the shoulder socket. You might bend the elbow and use a smaller lever. It's the morning, can you tell? And you might continue for 3, 2, 1. Let's go ahead and step the right toes back, reach out of that knee, finding that hip flexor stretch. And as you feel ready, you can roll back onto the back side of your body. All right, so from here, we're gonna get ready to transition into a bit more traditional of a flow. But it might be nice to start by extending the legs out, reaching the arms up overhead, and find just a couple little lifts of your hips. Starting to get into the spine a little bit. Plant your feet down in line with your hips. Keep reaching overhead for this. We're going to press into the feet, lift the hips a little bit, tuck the tail, re-engage through all 4 corners of each foot. Think of dragging your heels back to reach your tailbone and pubic bone equally forward. And then lift your hips a bit more. Maybe there needs to be another little tuck of the tail. And keep reaching out of your fingertips. So maybe there's a little bit of stretching going on in your shoulders here too. And then gently lower down, using momentum or not, find your way up to a seat. From here, we'll inhale the arms out and up. Lower the right fingertips, reach over with the left arm. Inhale to lift up. Lower left, reach right. Inhale, lift up. Find your twist to the right. And take a moment here. Every inhale, feel yourself sit a little bit taller. And then use the exhale to notice the twist. And it doesn't need to be super dramatic. It doesn't need to be a forceful thing. Inhale up through center. Exhale, twist to the left. Again, finding that length. And then finding the twist. Inhale up through center. Use your method of rocking over your knees to get to a tabletop form. And from here, this is our first time really using the hands today. So we compress into them and begin to rock the shoulders forward and then tuck the toes and rock the hips back. So we're stretching into the feet and then the wrists, feet and wrists. Couple more times. As you feel ready, come back through a neutral spine, untuck your toes, crawl your hands forward, a hand print. We're gonna rock shoulders over the wrists there. Keep pressing the mat away. Bend your elbows halfway, hugging by your ribs, and then land your pelvis and lift through your heart for your cobra form. And then from here, we'll press back toward a bit of a child's form, and we'll round forward, bend elbows halfway, and lift up, cobra. So we're gonna pulsate back and forth. You can find your own pace. Maybe you're changing this in some way that feels better in your body. Maybe you're speeding it up or slowing it down. Finish whatever one that you're presently on. And we'll meet back in this extended tabletop. Curl the toes under, send the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Bicycle it out. Feel through your body. And use an inhale to sweep your right leg high. Exhale, step it to the outer right hand. Lower your left knee. Inhale, right arm open, twist. Exhale, right hand down, left foot steps forward. Active squat. Take a breath here. Inhale to reach up. Overhead, let's lower your left hand to your left side. Reach over with your right arm. Inhale to switch. Inhale through center. And exhale, active squat. Take a breath in. Use your exhale to lower your fingers. Left foot steps back. This time both knees are lifted. Left hand stays grounded. Inhale, open twist with the right arm lifted. Notice what's going on with your left hand. For me, it actually feels more supportive to reach my left fingers to the left edge of the mat so that I can stack my shoulders a little bit. Might be the same in your body, might not. Soften your hips down just a smidge. And exhale, Both hands can come back to the mat and square up. Right foot steps back, plank pose. Option to lower the knees or not as you find your vinyasa. We'll meet in a downward facing dog. On an inhale, left leg extends. Exhale, step it toward the outer edge of the left hand. Lower your right knee as you lift your left arm open. And exhale, left fingers come back to the mat. Step your right foot forward, active squat. Take a moment here. Inhale to reach up. Hands can come to the hips this time. We'll draw shoulders back. Check that your toes are more or less in line with your knees. That might mean a slight angling out in this wider stance. And then as you firm up through your legs, you might begin to press your hips forward any amount, maybe reaching your heart up. Draw your shoulders together, elbows together. Inhale to lift back up. Reach your arms tall. Exhale to that active squat. This time, take a moment to wiggle out your hips. I feel like this is what I expect to see if I were to go to a nursing home during a dance they're throwing. I don't know, it's like a grandma dance. Take a breath in. Exhale, fold it forward. This time you're gonna hang in the fold for a sec. So really soften your knees here. That'll help there to be more consistent, like a more consistent line of length in your back. You might grab opposite elbows. Might feel nice to kind of bounce your torso here. Try to completely release your cervical spine, which can be hard in the morning. One more breath. Release your fingers to the mat. Step your right foot back, keep the knee lifted. Right hand plants maybe already with fingers pointing to the outer edge if you liked that change last time. And then inhale the left arm up. Finding the twist. Exhale, lower the left hand. We're gonna step back to a plank. Any vinyasa that sounds interesting to you, remembering that you can always skip vinyasas too. We'll meet in a downward facing dog. All right, this time inhale right leg up, but bend the knee, open the hip. Really stack that right hip over the left. And then on your exhale, step the right foot outside of the right hand. Lower your left knee to inhale, chest and chin up. Exhale, left foot steps outside of the left hand. Find your active squat. This time we're going to stay in the squat with our legs. Bring the hands to heart center. Fingers point in the same direction as the right toes. Begin to shift into that foot to lift the left leg up and back for a warrior three. Feel your outer left hip hug in. And then on an exhale, we're going to bring left knee to right calf, Shiva squat. Inhale, back to warrior three. Use your low belly to support your low back. Exhale, bring it in. Inhale, reach it back. Hold for one breath. Lower your left toes, bring it up on the diagonal still, but this time we're in a high lunge. One more breath here. On your exhale, we're gonna hinge forward, fingertips on the mat. Lower the left knee to inhale, chest chin up. Exhale to straighten both legs any amount and lift back. Let's do 2 more of those. Inhale, bend. Exhale, straighten. Inhale, bend. Exhale, straighten. This time we're gonna hold it. You might step your left foot forward a little bit. Think right hip back, left hip forward. And then let your torso hang. Or if that doesn't feel okay in your low back, keep reaching your heart long. Here for a couple of breaths. On an inhale, begin to soften into your right leg. And from here, we'll step the left foot back so it's a little more squared on the mat. Heel toe the right foot so it is too. And then we'll crawl the hands to the left foot at the back edge. We're gonna lower the right knee, left hand to left knee, right arm lifts, finding low lunge. This time in our low lunge, we can hold right thumb and fist. Bring that elbow to the outer left knee. Potentially palms touch, collarbones broadening as we press hand into hand. Notice if your hips have scooted over to the left for this, and see if there's a way to kind of squeeze them together a little bit more in center. On an inhale, gently release your torso through center, plant your hands, and kick your left leg up and back. So we're in a 3-legged down dog. Now from here, we're gonna lower the right elbow and slide the left hand back in line with the right elbow. So we're in this funky setup. On your exhale, left knee toward left elbow. Inhale, press into the mat with everything that's touching, kick that leg back. Exhale, bring it in. Inhale, kick it back. All right, now while it's lifted, hop your right toes forward a bit. We're gonna lower the crown of the head inside of the right wrist. Left knee toward left elbow. Keep pressing into the mat with your right forearm, your right hand, your left hand. Squeeze your left heel toward your left sit bone. And maybe, just maybe, you can bend into that right knee and find a tucked headstand. Maybe the toes stay grounded. Either way is great. Let's go ahead and set the left toes down. Bend into both knees. Round your way to a kneeling seated position. From here, we can do some circles of the head over the neck. That's our one inversion today. Well, our one traditional inversion as compared to some other more restorative ones we'll do. And so from here, take a moment to scan through your body. Notice your breath, your heart rate, your temperature. And as you feel ready to blink your eyes open, you can find your way to a downward facing dog and shorten the stance a bit, stepping your feet a little bit closer toward your hands. The right shoulder is going to be our focal point here, so really press into that hand. Reach your left hand back to catch any part of your left leg. You might experiment with holding a pencil underneath your right toes and lifting that leg any amount. Lower the right foot if it's lifted. Bring your left hand to your left thigh, bend into your knees, and rotate through to the front edge of the mat. Check that your right wrist is in line with your shoulder. We're gonna reach up through the heart space. You can always scoot your hips forward or backward, whatever feels necessary to create a supported stretch in your right shoulder. We're here for a couple breaths. And then we can draw the knees in and rock to a seat. Right tricep to right knee, hold your thumb in your fist. Flex that arm out to help it feel a little more stable after the stretch. All right, so from here, we need to make it back to a downward facing dog. I'm gonna suggest some rocks into a low squat and then a really gentle hop back. But if there's something else you'd like to do, please feel free to do that. If you're with me on the rocks, we're gonna rock along the spine and up to a seat. Rock along the spine, this time up to a low squat if possible. And then maybe once more, just for good measure. And then from here, plant the hands, step or gently hop back, downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg lifts up, bend the knee, open the hip. Stack those hips, really reaching the knee up. Almost feels like a tuck of the tail here. Help facilitate that. And then step the left foot outside of the left hand. Lower the right knee to inhale, chest chin up. On your exhale, right foot steps outside of right hand. Active squat. Hands come to heart center. Fingers point in the same direction as your left toes. Shift into that foot to bring the right leg up and back for a warrior three. Again, think of those outer hips hugging in. And then bend your right knee, tap it against your left calf. Inhale to find that length and extension again. Exhale, bring it in. Inhale, extend, hold for a breath here. And then lower your right toes. Find your way into a high lunge on the diagonal. Take a breath. On your exhale, frame out the left foot. Lower the right knee to inhale, chest chin up. And then exhale, straighten both legs any amount to look back. Do that twice more, just warming up that left hamstring. Last one. So we're gonna hold it. So you might adjust your stance in whatever way feels supportive. We have left hip back, right hip forward. Either reach the heart forward or let the head hang heavy. Use an inhale to soften into the left knee. From here, we're gonna step the right foot and then heel toe the left foot, more center line of mat. So you can crawl to the right and lower your left knee. Right hand to right knee, lift your left arm up, low lunge. And then holding left thumb and fist, we'll find the twist. Tucking that elbow, maybe bringing palm to palm for some added opening through the front side of your collarbones. Notice where your hips are going. See if you can gently hug toward midline with your hips. Use an inhale to unwind. Plant the hands, and we're gonna kick the right leg up and back. You might be remembering, oh, we did that weird thing. We're gonna do the weird thing on this side. Lower your left elbow. Bring your right hand back in line with your left elbow. Right knee toward right elbow on the exhale. And then inhale, kick up. Exhale, bring it in. Really hug right heel toward right sit bone. And then kick it up. This time, hop the left foot forward a bit. Lower the top of your head in line with your left wrist. And then bring your right knee toward your right elbow. You might begin to shift into that any amount. Squeezing heel towards sit bone. It maybe feels like you can squeeze your left heel in too. You're really pressing down through your hands. Lower your left toes, lower your right toes, lower your knees. Send your hips back and round up to a seat. Take a moment to circle your shoulders. Maybe to twist one direction and the other. This time here, we're going to do a specific pranayama, breath work, that is best suited for balancing out the body, connecting left and half. I can't speak, I clearly need this. Connecting left and right halves of the brain. And so to do this pranayama, you can bring your pointer and middle fingers to your forehead, and then you'll have your ring finger / pinky available for your left nostril and your thumb available for your right nostril. And we're just going to close one nostril off at a time. And so we'll start by inhaling fully, and then close the right nostril, exhale out the left. Inhale through the left. Close left, exhale right. Inhale right. Exhale left. Inhale left. So we're just following that. You switch on the exhale, and you do an exhale, then an inhale on a nostril, and then switch to the other side. Finish by exhaling right and inhaling right. Release your hand, exhale through your mouth. Notice any lingering effect from that breath. Any sensation, especially around your face or your head. As you feel ready, you can blink your eyes, gently open. We're making our way into a downward facing dog. This time it's the left shoulder that we're really focusing on. So you can shorten your stance a little bit. Reach your right hand back to grab any part of your right leg. Hold that pencil in the toes of your left leg. Maybe it lifts up off the mat. Lower the left toes if they're lifted. Slide your right hand up to your thigh and rotate through. Left wrist in line with left shoulder. Let's open up through the front side of the collarbones, through the heart, to try and stretch that left arm out a bit. And then pull the knees in and rock to a seat. Left tricep, left knee, flex it out. Let's go ahead and shake both arms. All right, step your feet a little bit wide in your seated form. We're gonna play with some hip mobility here. So we're gonna lower the knees to the right into 90 degrees, and then come back up through center and lower them to the left. And back up through center. Right, through center, left, through center. This time, lower them to the right. We're gonna pause here. Check that they are more or less into 90-degree angles. Shift into your right leg that you can lift your left leg any amount and lower. Lift and lower. Last one, lift, pulse up for 3, 2, 1. Lower it down, hinge over your front leg. You can let your forearms come down to the mat. I here like to think of right hip back, left hip forward. That gives me some nice support in this form. You might let your head hang heavy. Come on and inhale, crawl your hands back in. We're gonna lower the right hand outside of the right hip and reach over with the left arm, maybe even lifting the hips. So we're kind of driving them forward, getting a side body stretch, draw your shoulders toward one another on your back. And lower down. Let's do that one more time. Lift up, drive your hips forward, reach your left arm back, shoulders toward one another, and down. Come through center, and we'll go to the other side. So knees lower toward the left, more or less into 90-degree angles. Shift into the left foot to lift your, left hip to lift your right leg and lower. Lift and lower. Lift, this time pulse up for 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower it down and then begin to hinge over your left leg. This time, if you want the engagement, it would be left hip back, right hip forward. Use an inhale to crawl your hands in. Left hand plants outside of the left hip. And then lift your hips up, drive them forward. Find this right side body stretch. Let's lower the hips back down. We'll do that one more time. Inhale to lift. And bring it back down. Come back through center with the legs. From here, keep them wide, hands reach forward. Begin to lower yourself down. Legs can come with you. We're gonna grab outside edges of feet and find a happy baby. Maybe rolling side to side. And I want you to notice what would feel good in your body. So perhaps a supine twist. If you wanted to use that half happy baby form that we sometimes find, you could do that where you keep one leg and cross the other leg over for an outer hip stretch. You could find some more rocking movement if that felt soothing at the start of practice. I like to rock my head back and forth when I'm doing a supine twist. That might be an option as well. Make sure whatever you do that's asymmetrical, you do balance it out on the other side. And to conclude the practice, choose any form that feels particularly supportive to you. That can be legs up a wall, legs extended. It might mean that active rest form where feet are wide, knees falling in toward each other. Or maybe that reclined butterfly form, feet together, knees open wide. But let it be a place where you really don't feel the need to exert in any way. And as you arrive, think of that snow globe. Think of settling everything downward. Notice if there's any residual holding or any build back up of holding. Maybe in your jaw, your facial muscles, your eyes. Maybe at your hip flexors. Is there a way to soften that once more? And if the mind begins to wander, gently bring it back to your body. You might even picture some sort of visual for your breath, as though you could picture in your mind's eye your entire body. Maybe every inhale, there's a visual associated with it, like a glowing or something. And then on the exhale, that glow extends out beyond you. Maybe that visual doesn't work, you choose another, but that can be a nice way to stay anchored with your breath and still give your mind something to do if it's a little squirrely. Begin to gently ease your way out of this place of stillness, maybe through the breath first, altering that in some way. Maybe through some added wiggles or movements. Might even be a full body stretch. Or some twists. And as you feel ready, find your way to a seat. Using an inhale, we can reach arms out and up, palms touching overhead. Exhale, those thumbs to heart center. Right? We continue to make choices that nourish us, that do not align with any sort of expectation, but rather align with what truly feels right in each moment. Namaste.